Good morning, everybody, for what looks like to be episode 13 of Coffee with the Pastor. I guess we're coming up on 15 episodes. That would be 3 weeks of this. Oh my. Waiting for some people to jump on here before we get going. I'm trying this from a different browser right now, and it's not telling me if people are logged on or I'm not seeing any comments. So let's see. Let's see who comes and joins. Oh, I see some people. Okay. Hey, Naomi. I hope you all are well and healthy. You're back home now. Hey, Fran. Hey, Brandy. Jana. I hope all is well. Jana's doing the COVID triage drive-through for Baylor Scott and White, and I know that would give me some anxiety, so I hope y'all are doing well. Hey, Brandy. Hey, Fran. Tiffany's here. Hey, Clark. Glad you're here. As is my custom, let me show you my coffee mug this morning. The humble mason jar. This is actually a humble Kerr jar. But I love it. Incredibly versatile. Lids. Lose it, you break it, doesn't matter. Throw it in recycling. They come in packs of 12. They last forever. Very simple. Reminds me of a simpler time when we all used to, or a lot of us used to can our own foods. I never have. I'm afraid of botulism, but it's probably a practice I should learn. I'm incredibly pragmatic. You can throw a salad in there. You can throw leftovers in there, take it to work, take it wherever, put it in the microwave. It's microwave safe-ish, kind of. So there's a lot you can do with it. But that's my coffee mug. A lot of mornings is out of a mason jar. I used to have friends who would make fun of me and say I was drinking my gravy. Said it looks like gravy. So looks like we're up to 11 or 12 people. Let me get going with my reflection this morning. This community has many leaders, 3 of whom are the pastors, and I think that's one of our strengths is the amount of diversity that you get from this community. From the 3 pastors, we all have different perspectives on things and different emphases that we bring to the life of faith and what it means to be living this way of Jesus and be living a whole and a full life. I want to share one of my perspectives this morning. Let me talk about sin real quick. One prominent stream of theology says that sin is what happens when we make ourselves too big. Sin is what happens when we are prideful, when we think only about ourselves. And that's a prominent stream of theology, a prominent definition of sin that you'll hear in a lot of evangelical theology. And that gets pushed out to everybody and said, this is the normative way to think about sin, or how you should think about sin is you're making yourself too big. Well, there are other streams of theology that understand sin differently. There's relational theology that says sin is what happens when we tear apart relationships and connections, when the actions that we do destroy relationships. That's a good way to think about sin as well. There are different kinds of liberation theology and systemic theologies, queer theologies, eco-theologies. All of these have different ways of understanding what sin is. One stream of theology that I started reading a couple years ago is called feminist theology. And I really appreciate the work of the feminist theologians, particularly an article I read by Valerie Saving. I believe it was Saiving. I think this article came out in the 60s or 70s. It was a revolutionary way to think about sin. And she said that sin is what happens primarily in the context of women when they make themselves too small. Men often think about sin in terms of we make ourselves too big, we try to conquer the world. That's sin. But what about that subset of population that is told to make yourself small all the time? Stay at home, stay in the kitchen, don't reach for more, whatever it may be. Valerie Saving and other feminist theologians throughout the years have said that's sin also. You're not living into the full potential of what God has for you. You are making yourself a martyr. You're making yourself too small. And we need to think about that as sin as well, and systems that uphold that kind of small living. So I want to talk to a subset of the population. I want to talk to those who are told to make yourself small, and those who are told to live for the sake of others in this world and don't live into the fullness of who God has made you to be. So to shift a little bit, the subset that I want to talk about this morning are those who take on too much responsibility to care for others. We are in the midst of a pandemic, and the caregivers in our society, you're able to see them very clearly. They love to care for people. They're good at it. They're natural Enneagram 2s, you might say. But they can get so exhausted. And it's not just those who are working in hospitals. I think it's those who are working at HEB, those who are doing all kinds of things from their own homes right now to care for others. And a lot of us who naturally have this inclination to care for others, put others first, not put ourselves first. It's because for some of us, we come from dysfunctional homes. We come from homes where we were taught to take care of everybody else, to maintain some kind of very fragile equilibrium. And if we didn't, then all hell would break loose. And so we learned you've got to take care of everybody else, and what I need comes last. At the time, as my therapist has told me many times, at the time, that kind of behavior was adaptive. It helped me survive. But now that I'm an adult, I'm no longer living in that home that I grew up in. That's maladaptive behavior. That's not behaviors that I need to continue to practice. It's no longer serving life, it's hindering life. Part of my journey as I've tried to unlearn a lot of those patterns of taking care of others first, putting everybody else first, becoming a martyr, putting myself last. One of the resources that I've had in my journey over the past several years is this 12-step group called ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics, or ACOA, depending on how you, some people say it differently. This has been a very helpful resource, a 12-step group that I went to for a while. The group I was a part of met in Georgetown every Thursday night. I haven't been able to go for the past year or so, but what I picked up along the way with them has continued to be very, very helpful for me. And I just wanted to read, sorry if this is getting too long. I just wanted to read for those of us, again, I'm speaking to those of us in the midst of this pandemic and this economic recession, potentially depression, those of us who, whether by nature or nurture, we tend to take care of everybody else first rather than ourselves. So I want to read the ACA Bill of Rights. These are 25 statements for those of us who need to be reminded that it's okay to take care of me, and I don't have to be responsible for everyone else. So let me read these. The Bill of Rights, and when in ACA, when you go to a 12-step meeting, they'll tell you you need to put this on your bathroom mirror and you need to read it to yourself every day. I don't do that. I'm not good, but I think of these often, and these have been so important for my life. So, number one, I do not have to feel guilty just because someone else does not like what I do, say, think, or feel. Number two, it is okay for me to feel angry and to express it in responsible ways. Number three, I do not have to assume full responsibility for making decisions, particularly when others share responsibility for making the decision. Number four, I have the right to say I don't understand without feeling stupid or guilty. Number five, I have the right to say I don't know. Number 6, I have the right to say no without feeling guilty. Number 7, I do not have to apologize or give reasons when I say no. Number 8, I have the right to ask others to do things for me. Number 9, I have the right to refuse requests which others make of me. Are you seeing a trend here? It's reaffirming my God-given humanity, my God-given right to not be exploited by others who will take advantage of my giving nature. Number 10, I have the right to tell others when I think they are manipulating, conning, or treating me unfairly. Number 11, I have the right to refuse additional responsibilities without feeling guilty. Number 12, I have the right to tell others when their behavior annoys me. Number 13, I do not have to compromise my personal integrity. Number 14, I have the right to make mistakes and to be responsible for them. I have the right to be wrong. I can be wrong, and that's my right. I'm going to take that risk where I could potentially be wrong and affirm my humanity. The right of self-determination is what we often talk about in social work. Number 15, I do not have to be liked, admired, or respected by everyone for everything I do. God set us free from that trap. Number 16, I have the right to evaluate my own behavior, thoughts, and emotions, and to take responsibility for their initiation and consequences upon myself. Number 17, I have the right to offer no reasons or excuses for justifying my behavior. I get to make choices just like everyone else in humanity, and I don't have to justify it to anybody. Number 18, I have the right to decide if I am responsible for finding solutions to other people's problems. You hear that? That's a right we have, to decide if I'm responsible for finding solutions to other people's problems. I know this isn't a popular narrative right now in the midst of a pandemic when we should all be pulling together and we should all be sacrificing. And I believe in all those things, but I'm just telling you there's a subset of the population that will absolutely get exploited by this. And I'm giving you some permission here to take care of yourself. Number 19, I have the right to change my mind. Yep. Number 20, I have the right to be independent of the goodwill of others before coping with them. Number 21, I have the right to think about myself, my life, and my goals, and leave others to God. That's right, you're not God. That's one of the problems that those of us who grew up in dysfunctional families and we learn to take care of everyone around us is we kind of think that we have omnipotence. We are kind of grandiose in thinking that we're able to take care of everything and everybody. We think we have omnipotence, all the power. We think we have omniscience, all the knowledge. We don't. Stop it. You're human. You're finite. You're limited. Leave others to God. Number 22, I have the right to actively pursue people, places, and situations that will help me in achieving a good life. I have the right to leave the company of people who deliberately or inadvertently put me down, lay a guilt trip on me, manipulate, or humiliate me. That includes my alcoholic parent, my non-alcoholic parent, and any other member of my family. 24, I have the right to a mentally healthy, sane way of existence, though it will deviate in part or all from my parents' prescribed philosophy of life. I love that one. Though it will deviate from what everybody expects of me, I have the right to live a healthy life. I hope you love that one too. And number 25, I have the right to laugh and play and have fun. I have the right to enjoy this life right here, right now. I have the right to carve out my own place in this world. And you do too. And then it ends with this. Remember, I am learning how to give to myself, and that is not bad. I need to change old feelings of being victimized to new feelings of being about to meet challenges successfully. I don't have to take care of everyone else. I have choices about how I respond to people. Some situations can be resolved without my being involved. Others can lend support to those who need it when I am not willing to be available. It is okay to put my own well-being first. I am important too. I will read my Bill of Rights out loud every day to myself. I will feel some of the old guilt for a while, but it will be mixed with a new sensation, that of excitement, along with a sense of aliveness. I will discover that I am intuitively handling situations that used to baffle me. So I hope you find this helpful. Again, I'm speaking this morning to a very specific subset of people, those who might be exploited or abused or taken advantage of in the midst of this time when we are all being called to sacrifice and serve. I hope this is helpful. Put some comments. I see comments are over here somewhere. Add some comments to tell me how you're doing with this. Real quick, maybe I can look through some comments and just see. Oh, Tori says she needed the Bill of Rights. Me too. Good. Yeah, a lot of good stuff here. Oh man, Clark, I really like your comment here. I'm gonna hit like in the midst of this. Yes, tell people what they can do sometimes. Too much good stuff here. I don't want to get too long into this. I love you all. I hope you're taking care of yourselves as you take care of others. Hashtag non-dualistic thinking. It's both, but I wanted to emphasize this morning taking care of yourself. Have a great day.